Our scripture this morning comes from Luke chapter 5, verse 27 and 28. It's rather short in words, but the content is very deep and very meaningful. Jesus went out and saw a tax collector by the name of Levi sitting at his tax booth. "Follow me," Jesus said to him. And Levi got up, he left everything and followed him. When William Borden graduated from a Chicago high school in 1904, he was the heir to the Borden Dairy estate, which made him a millionaire. For his graduation, his parents gave him a round-the-world trip. As a young man traveling through Asia and the Middle East and Europe, he felt a growing burden for the world's hurting people. Finally, Borden wrote home to say, "I'm going to give my life to prepare for the mission field." At the same time, he wrote 2 words in the back of his Bible: "No reserves." During his college years at Yale University, Borden became a pillar in the Christian community. One entry in his personal journal that defined the source of his spiritual strength simply said, "Say no to self, say yes to Jesus every time." During his first semester at Yale, Borden started a small prayer group that mushroomed into a movement that spread across the campus. By the end of the first year, 150 freshmen were meeting for weekly Bible study and prayer. By the time Bill Borden was a senior, 1,000 of Yale's 1,300 were meeting in such groups. Borden met with fellow Christians to make sure that every student on campus heard the gospel. Often he ministered to the poor in the streets of New Haven. But the real passion was missions. Once he narrowed his missionary call to the Kenzhou people of China, Borden never wavered. Upon graduation from Yale, Borden wrote 2 more words in the back of his Bible: "No retreats." He turned down several high-paying job offers and enrolled in seminary. After graduation, he went to Egypt to learn Arabic so that he could work with the Muslims in China. While in Egypt, Borden came down with spinal meningitis. Within a month, he died at the age of 25. Prior to his death, Borden wrote 2 more words in his Bible. Underneath the words "no reserves," "no retreats," he wrote "no regrets." Bill Borden answered the call of God. Looking at today's scripture, we find Levi, also known as Matthew, sitting at a table collecting taxes. He could be sitting along the Via Maris, a major road in the area, or he could be in the synagogue. He could even be in a storefront on some side street in Capernaum. We really don't know, and it really doesn't matter where he set up. The important thing is that he was a tax collector. Tax collectors of that day were not the upper crust of society. As a matter of fact, they were close to the bottom of the social order in the eyes of the Jewish people. You see, to become a tax collector, one would have to outbid others vying for that position. Once a person purchased the franchise, he became a tax collector for that area. The problems start with the fact that the taxes being collected were for the occupying Romans and their puppet king Herod. The taxes were high and were sent to Rome instead of remaining in the area to benefit those paying. Collecting these taxes caused Levi to become completely ostracized by the Jews from all religious and social events. To make matters worse, Levi had to somehow make money to pay for the purchase of the franchise, and of course he had to have money to live. The only way he could do this was to add an additional charge to the already high taxes, kind of surcharge, if you will. Levi was not Mr. Popular in Capernaum. Jesus was in the area with his disciples, Simon Peter, Andrew, James, and John, sons of Zebedee. In fact, he had just called them to become fishers of men. Jesus sees Levi sitting at his table working diligently, collecting his money, counting his money, keeping the books, doing whatever tax collectors do with their time. Jesus steps up to the table and says, "Levi, follow me." And Levi does. Levi drops everything and follows. The amazing thing is that Levi doesn't hesitate. He picks up, puts his clothes sign on his table, and follows Jesus. What has just happened? Here we have a man, a Jewish outcast, being asked to follow Jesus, the Son of God. The amazing thing is that Levi drops everything and follows. Why? Jesus had been in the area of Capernaum for some time. He had already healed the man with leprosy. He had healed the paralytic man brought by his 4 friends who had to open the hole in the roof and lower him down. And of course, he was teaching. Had Levi heard Jesus? That's a distinct possibility. Had Levi seen Jesus? That's possible also. But whether Levi had heard or seen Jesus before this encounter is not that important. Levi did what was right. He answered the call of God. He dropped everything, giving up the past and starting over, following Jesus. There's a big difference, between being called and being recruited. Recruitment to a job position is a process used by our secular society. I believe that recruitment should be alien to the Christian community. More often than not, a person involved in the recruiting process is put in a position for which they have little or no aptitude or gifts. They don't have a clue as to what to do or how to do it. Our culture is full of people who, in order to make money, are forced to be round pegs in square holes. They are forced into jobs that don't fit. How many of you have been recruited for a job or to serve on a committee in your church life? You ever gotten a call at 9:30 at night and the person at the other end says, "I've been calling all night and you're my last hope. We need you to serve on such and such a committee"? Or how about you get a call and the person on the other end says, "I've been praying about such and such a position and God told me you were the one"? I think we all have experienced the recruiter's phone call at one time or another. But both of these examples are ways in which people are recruited for tasks which they are neither have the gifts nor the spiritual calling. The results are that the person fills that position out of duty instead of privilege. They often feel unfulfilled and very often generate negative results. Burnout is inevitable.